Hello and welcome to Plot Layers. Today, we will be reviewing the 1995 movie titled While You Were Sleeping. Enjoy, and don't forget to like and subscribe. The movie begins in a bustling American city. A girl reflects on her childhood and says there are two major things she remembers. The first was her dad. She describes him as a deep and thoughtful person who always said, "Life doesn't always turn out the way you plan." Her dad often took her on adventures and told her amazing stories about her mom. He also brought her to the church where he had married her mother. He always said her mom was an incredible person who gave him the world. This was her favorite memory. The story then shifts to the present day, where we meet the narrator, Lucy. She works at a train station. Her story continues as she talks about a man who frequently visits the station. They've never spoken, but Lucy believes he's the one she's going to marry, her Prince Charming. One day, Lucy pulls a Christmas tree through her apartment window and complains about having to buy a tree that couldn't be properly delivered. She slips and falls, letting go of the rope, which causes the tree to fall and crash through a lower floor apartment window. Later, she meets with her landlord, Fusco, and they talk about the situation with the tree and the broken window. Lucy offers to pay for the damage, but the landlord says he will take care of it. Fusco is cheerful and kind toward Lucy. Before leaving, Lucy gives Fusco a Christmas gift. As he thanks her, Fusco's son, Joe Jr., walks in. He approaches his dad and asks for a bottle of Blue Nun. His dad points toward the lady in the house, and Joe arrogantly says hello before continuing his search. The landlord approaches Lucy and mentions that Joe is also single, but Lucy has no attraction to him. The next day, as Lucy orders a hot dog, her boss, Supervisor Jerry, meets her and says he's about to make her Employee of the Month. He reads off all the times Lucy has worked extra shifts on holidays, then strategically adds that she should also work a shift on Christmas Day. Lucy argues that she can't, but her boss explains that the other employees have gone to be with their families, and he promised to be with his own family. Since Lucy doesn't have family around, he suggests she take the shift. Lucy reluctantly agrees. At work, Lucy watches a family heading home to celebrate the holiday, and she feels lonely and sad. In the midst of her low mood, the mysterious man approaches again and greets her, but Lucy is too stunned to say anything. He walks away, and Lucy sits there, regretting that she missed her chance to start a conversation. Just then, two men approach the man and begin to harass him. He missteps and falls onto the train tracks. Lucy, witnessing what happened, runs toward him. She jumps down and tries to wake him, but he's unconscious. A train approaches, and at the last second, Lucy holds on tightly to him and rolls out of the way. They arrive at the hospital, and when Lucy tries to go in to see the man, she is stopped by a doctor who asks if she is family. Lucy says no, but as she tries to explain herself, the doctor denies her request. Left alone, Lucy quietly mutters to herself, "But I want to marry him." A nearby nurse hears her and takes pity on her. Later, the nurse takes Lucy inside. As Lucy sits and talks to the unconscious man, a policeman approaches the nurse and asks if she is the hero who saved the man. The nurse responds, not only that, she's also his fiancée. Later, the policeman then approaches Lucy, and just as he's about to speak to her, a doctor walks in and interrupts. Before they can talk further, the man's family arrives. His father, mother, little sister, and grandparents enter the room, asking what happened. It is revealed that the man's name is Peter. The doctor assures them that Peter's vitals are stable and he should make a full recovery soon. As they talk, the young doctor enters and asks why Lucy is there. The nurse quickly jumps in and says that Lucy is Peter's fiancée. The policeman adds that she saved his life. The family is deeply grateful, and Peter's father declares that Lucy is part of the family now. Peter's mom, Midge, and the rest of the family hug Lucy and thank her for her bravery, calling her a good girl for Peter. Lucy pulls the nurse aside and asks why she said she was Peter's fiancée. The nurse replies that she heard Lucy say she was going to marry him. Lucy explains she was just talking to herself at the time. Their conversation is cut short when Peter's grandfather walks in and asks the nurse if there's a pharmacy nearby. He says it's for Elsie, Peter's grandmother. She needs nitroglycerin for her heart condition. The grandfather thanks Lucy and says she might have just saved not only Peter's life but the whole family's. In the waiting room, everyone sits in silence, all eyes on Lucy. Curiosity fills the air. The grandmother breaks the silence and asks Lucy to tell them how she met Peter. Peter's mom tries to stop her, saying it's not the right time, but everyone is just as curious. They begin talking about Peter's previous girlfriend. She worked at a bar. Peter's little sister asks Lucy if she stole Peter from the bar girl. The family eagerly urges Lucy to tell them her story. With no other option, Lucy says that when she first met Peter, she liked his smile. That was the moment her life turned around. Everyone smiles. Lucy returns home, and as she makes her way upstairs, Joe walks down and, in his usual arrogant manner, says, "Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, while flashing 2 Ice Capita tickets he got from a friend. Lucy simply nods and continues upstairs. Later that night, Lucy goes back to the hospital and visits unconscious Peter. She introduces herself and says she met his family, and they believe she's engaged to him. She sits next to Peter and talks about never having met anyone she could laugh with. She speaks about love at first sight and asks whether he's ever met someone he wanted to grow old with, or ever fallen in love with someone he's never spoken to. As she speaks, she looks at Peter with admiration. Unbeknownst to her, Peter's grandfather watches her warmly. The next morning, Lucy wakes up next to Peter and checks her watch. She gets up to leave but is greeted by Peter's family. His father invites her to celebrate Christmas with them. Lucy declines, saying she has to work. Peter's father gets her number and gives her the family's card in case she changes her mind. Afterwards, Lucy meets with her boss and tells him about her current situation. Her boss advises her to just roll with it, and when Peter wakes up, they can quietly resolve everything however they see fit. Lucy worriedly asks, what if he doesn't wake up? Her boss tells her to keep going with the situation and reflects on the time he introduced his wife to his mother, how at first, his mother wasn't comfortable with it, but she grew to love his wife over time. At home, Lucy prepares a meal for her cat and thinks about the offer. She decides to go. Lucy arrives at Peter's home but gets cold feet and decides to leave. As she turns to go, Peter's grandfather calls out to her. They greet each other, and he walks her over to the house. They sit on the porch, and the grandfather tells her he is Peter's godfather. He says it makes him feel like part of the family. He then asks Lucy about her family. Lucy explains that her mother died when she was very young, and her father moved to Indiana to do research at a hospital after he got sick, but he passed away a year ago. Peter's grandpa says he understands how she feels. As they talk, the door opens and Midge comes out. She calls them both inside, saying it's cold. Inside, the family gathers for a group photo, and Lucy is pulled in as well. Afterwards, the family exchanges Christmas gifts, and Peter's little sister gives Lucy a present too. Lucy holds onto her gift as she watches the family warmly open theirs, smiling and showing gratitude to one another. Later that night, a car pulls up and a man steps out and enters the house. He meets his little sister. He is revealed to be Jack, Peter's brother. His sister introduces him to Lucy and says she is Peter's fiancée, but Jack immediately says she's not. Lucy overhears them but pretends to be asleep. Elsewhere, a voicemail is received. A female voice speaks, it's Ashley. She says she's been thinking a lot and has decided to cut her trip short. The next morning, Lucy wakes up and tries to sneak out of the house but is caught by Jack. Lucy nervously introduces herself before making a quick exit. At her home, she goes through her things and finds Peter's wallet and a can of cat food. She leaves the house to go feed his cat. On her way out, she sees Joe and hides her face so he doesn't notice her. Later, Jack stops by Lucy's building and runs into Joe. Jack asks about the girl living in apartment 201, and Joe says he's dating her. Lucy arrives at Peter's apartment and is surprised at how tidy it looks. She calls for the cat, and when she opens a door, she accidentally hits Jack. Jack walks in and asks what she's doing. She says she came to feed the cat, and Jack says Peter doesn't have a cat, only to swallow his words when a cat walks in. As Lucy feeds it, they get a call informing them that Peter's friends and family need to make a blood donation. At the hospital, Jack tries to uncover Lucy's secrets by asking her questions about Peter. He asks when they started dating, and she says September 17th, approximately 3 months ago. He continues questioning her about Peter's favorite things, which she correctly guesses and answers. The interrogation continues as they walk into Peter's hospital room. The family asks what's going on, and Jack claims that Lucy is dating someone named Joe. Lucy laughs and says Joe has a big mouth and talks nonsense. The grandmother insists Lucy prove who she says she is. Lucy claims that Peter has only one testicle. She makes up a story about how it happened during a basketball accident. Upon inspection, Peter's mother finds it to be true. Lucy returns home, tired and stressed from the day's events. There's a knock at the door. When she opens it, it's Joe. He arrogantly walks in and complains that Lucy stood him up for their ice capita date. Lucy insists she never agreed to go, but he argues that she did. Their argument is interrupted by another knock. It's Peter's grandfather. Lucy quickly hides Joe in the closet before opening the door. The man enters and asks Lucy if she has any company, but she says it was just the TV next door. Peter's grandpa tells Lucy that he knows the truth, that she isn't Peter's fiancée. Lucy doesn't deny it and says she'll tell the whole family, but the grandpa tells her not to. He says her heroic act brought the family closer together, and in a way, it makes them feel like Peter is still with them. Before leaving, he asks how Lucy knew about Peter's lower side but then changes his mind and says it's better he doesn't know. After he leaves, Lucy opens the closet and finds Joe messing around, trying on her shoes. There's another knock, it's Jack. He says the family sent over an engagement present. It's a piece of furniture, and when he offers to bring it to her room, Lucy declines, suggesting they take it to Peter's apartment instead. She leaves with him. They arrive at the apartment, and when Jack opens the back of the RV, Lucy sees a wooden chair and admires how great it looks. Jack says he made it himself and reveals his passion for furniture making, though he can't focus on it because he's expected to take over the family business. He clarifies the chair isn't for her and points to the sofa instead. They carry it toward the apartment, but a security guard approaches and asks what they're doing out so late. Jack points to Lucy and says she's his brother's fiancée and that they're moving furniture into Peter's apartment. The security guard says he doesn't recognize her but admits he's new to the job. He adds that he's heard stories about her, and that even the stories scare him. The two reach the apartment door and try to push the sofa inside. Lucy loses her footing and accidentally knocks over a vase, which breaks. They cover the spot with the sofa and leave. When they return downstairs, they see that Jack's RV has been boxed in by two cars, leaving no way to reverse. Jack offers to walk Lucy home. She declines at first but eventually agrees. As they walk, they talk and get to know each other better. Jack teases Lucy about her coat when she says she's cold. Lucy explains that it was her dad's coat, and that he passed away a year ago. Jack apologizes and asks what she remembers about her dad. She says he liked maps, and they used to watch movies together and then use maps to figure out where the scenes took place. Jack asks where she'd go if she could visit anywhere in the world. She says, Spain. The night continues as they open up to each other. While walking home, they reach a slippery patch and laugh at their clumsiness as they try not to fall. Their closeness creates a spark between them, and as they lock eyes, they both slip and fall, laughing. They get up, and Jack finally says goodnight. He watches as she walks to her door. Lucy enters her room and watches him from the window, smiling as he walks away. The next day, Jack visits the hospital and plays poker with his unconscious brother. He says he's always been proud of Peter, even since childhood, and had never been jealous of him, until now. He shuffles the deck again and says, winner takes Lucy. Jack loses and cheekily says, best 2 out of 3. Meanwhile, Lucy talks to her boss and admits she's having an affair, sort of. She says she likes Jack and asks for advice. Her boss tells her it's not an affair if she's not married to the unconscious man. He advises her to tell Jack the truth. Lucy worries that telling the truth might ruin everything with the family, but her boss reminds her that you don't get accepted into a family like it's the Marines, you're born into it. He tells her to muster the courage and talk to them. At dinner, Lucy joins the family as they chat and eat. Peter's mother asks her to find Jack a good girl like herself, and Peter's little sister asks Jack what his type is. Jack says he likes thick blondes, glancing at Lucy. There's chemistry between them, and Jack's sister notices. She asks if Jack likes brunettes instead, but he doesn't respond. After dinner, Lucy thanks the family and gets ready to leave. The little sister points out that Lucy and Jack are standing under the mistletoe. According to tradition, they have to kiss. The family encourages it, and they do. Lucy walks away while Jack watches her, longing in his eyes. The next day at work, Lucy meets Jack's little sister and her friend. She calls them into her office. They enter and introduce themselves to one of Lucy's colleagues. The little sister says Lucy is Peter's fiancée, and sensing more questions coming, Lucy quickly tells the girls to head to the train that just arrived. As they leave, Lucy's colleague asks her for more details, and whether she's pregnant. Caught off guard, Lucy blurts out, yes, not realizing the girls heard her. The scene shifts to another call from Ashley. She says she is back from Chicago but hasn't received any response from Peter. She wants her cat back. Peter's little sister walks in on the family and, with a big smile, she announces the big news about Lucy's pregnancy. At home, Lucy gets a knock. It's Joe. He presents a flower and tries to win her over, but she gently declines. He takes it well, and they hug. Outside, she meets Jack. When she asks what he's doing there, Jack says he just stopped by to say hello. He asks where she's going, and she says she's heading to a party not far from there. Jack offers to drive her. They arrive, and everyone greets them. It's a New Year's party with her work colleagues. Her boss pulls her aside and asks if that's Peter, remarking on how handsome he looks. Lucy says no, it's his brother Jack, the one she told him about. Left alone, Lucy begins to drink, but Jack approaches and asks what she's doing. She says she's drinking, and Jack loudly says she shouldn't be doing that since she's pregnant. The room falls silent. They walk home, and Jack says he heard the news from his little sister, but Lucy corrects him. Tension fills the air. Jack tells Lucy she's not Peter's type. Lucy asks, whose type am I, then? Jack doesn't answer. He says he can make her happy, but Lucy says he can't. She remarks that although Jack has a dream job, he can't talk to his dad about it because he's afraid of disappointing him. They walk inside, and Lucy tells Jack he has no idea what it feels like to be lonely. When Jack says she has Peter, Lucy says she has no one. She enters her room, leans against the door, and sadly mutters, Happy New Year. At the hospital, Peter finally wakes up. Peter's father calls Lucy, and when she arrives, he tells her that Peter will be happy to see her. But Lucy wants to run away. Peter opens his eyes and scans the room until his eyes land on Lucy. He asks who she is. Just as things seem to be going wrong, Peter's dad says Peter has amnesia, and Peter passes out. In the waiting room, Lucy is about to confess but gets interrupted when Jack walks in. The doctor says Peter is awake again, and they go back to him. Lucy pulls the grandfather aside and explains the situation, but he says he'll handle it. At the sickbed, the family tries to make Peter remember who Lucy is, but he has no memory of her. They explain he has amnesia and say they'll come back later. They leave, and Peter sings the ABCs to himself. On the way home, Lucy and Jack sit in silence. They arrive at Lucy's place, and Lucy sadly says that things will be much different from the next day. Jack apologizes for what he said earlier and tells her that she and Peter will make a wonderful couple. Lucy thanks him and says he's been a good friend. They say their goodbyes. Jack drives to see his dad. They talk, and Jack brings up his future business. He sold 2 chairs and a table recently. His dad calls it a good side business, but Jack insists it's a good business. He tells his dad he can't work in the family business anymore. Seeing the guilt on his face, his father reassures him it's okay. He always wanted his son to have something of his own. A feeling of peace fills Jack's heart, and his dad asks for a donut. At the hospital, Peter recounts every password and grade he's ever had to ensure his memory is intact. His mom and sister try to help him remember Lucy, but he still has no memory of her. Peter's grandpa walks in and says he wants to talk to his godson. The family excuses themselves, and his grandfather speaks. He says he's known Peter all his life. He tells Peter that although he's always been handsome and smart, he's being foolish now. He says Lucy is his guardian angel, she saved his life and gave him a second chance. He advises Peter to talk to her. If, after 2 minutes, his heart doesn't respond to her, then he can walk away, but if he feels something, he better make a move or risk losing her. He tells Peter to think about it and mentions that Lucy will be arriving soon. Shortly after, Lucy arrives at the hospital to drop off Peter's belongings from the day of the incident. Peter strikes up a conversation with her. As they talk, Lucy remarks on a photo she saw of Peter saving squirrels as a kid. Peter says that wasn't nearly as heroic as what she did, but Lucy says she sees him give up his seat every day at the train station for the elderly. She says those small acts of kindness keep her going. Meanwhile, Ashley finally shows up at Peter's apartment after being ignored. She's a blonde with an attitude. The security man asks where she's going. She rudely replies that she's heading to Peter's apartment and claims to be his fiancé. The security man tells her she's not. Jack pays his brother a visit, and as they get to the elevator, they talk about Lucy. Peter says that Lucy makes him feel like a changed man, but he doesn't really know anything about her. Jack describes Lucy, her qualities, and the way she can drive a man crazy, but Peter says that's not it. Peter keeps talking, unaware that Jack has walked off and left him talking to himself. Lucy meets the grandfather and asks if he has resolved the situation. He says he's handling it, but Lucy feels like she's out of time. Ashley walks into the hospital and meets Peter. She calls him a scumbag and demands to know how he could be engaged to someone else when he's still engaged to her. Peter corrects her, saying that she broke off the engagement and ran away. Ashley says it all happened too fast and she was still thinking about it. Peter tells her it's too late, he's moving on. Ashley curses and storms out of the room. Later, Lucy arrives to see Peter, accompanied by a nurse. Peter proposes to Lucy. The nurse is overjoyed and faints from excitement. Later, as Lucy tries on her wedding dress, Jack visits her and gives her an early wedding gift, a Paris Christmas globe he made himself. Before he leaves, Lucy calls out to him and asks if there's any reason why she shouldn't marry Peter. Jack pauses but says there isn't. He walks away, clearly upset, as Lucy watches him longingly. At work, Lucy gives her boss a wedding invitation. The wedding is set to take place the next day. The boss asks who she's marrying, and Lucy says Peter. Her boss asks if she's insane and wonders why she's not marrying the other guy, Jack, who she's clearly in love with. Lucy stressfully says that Jack doesn't want her. The wedding takes place at the hospital. Lucy arrives and walks to the altar. Before the reverend can begin, she objects to the marriage. She turns to the family and tells them the truth. Everything happened so fast the day Peter was brought to the hospital. The nurse had assumed Lucy was Peter's fiancée, and she went along with it, because of the love and affection she felt from the family. She says it had been a long time since she felt that way. For once, she got to feel like someone's sister, daughter, granddaughter, and friend. Then, she turns to the 2 brothers and says she's in love with Jack. While the family is still confused, Ashley bursts in and yells that she objects to the marriage. Peter is supposed to marry her. Then another man walks in and objects too, revealing that he is Ashley's husband. Chaos erupts, and Lucy slips out quietly, waving goodbye to Jack as she leaves. A few days pass, and Lucy is back at work. She's collecting coins from passengers when someone drops a coin, followed by a ring. She looks up and sees Jack standing there, along with the whole family. Jack proposes to her, she accepts and everyone is filled with joy. Then we see the 2 lovebirds kissing as the train pulls away, bringing the movie to an end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting movies like this. See you in the next one.